rats, the furnace kicked on. There's a fucking crazy weather phenomenon going on right now. It is 24 degrees out, and I stuck my head out the window just to make sure. Don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like rain. It's actual ice pellets. So we're having an ice storm right now. So that's crazy. But it actually woke me up because I've been renting for, I don't know, we'll just say 30 years because I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it. But I've been renting a very long time, and I've always been on the first floor, always with second floor tenants who are irresponsible. So a major fear and something that you're always aware of is water coming through the ceiling. So I was sleeping and I heard this ice storm, and my brain interpreted it as water coming through the ceiling, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And this was earlier. I couldn't figure it out for a while because it doesn't happen. It's like a hailstorm when it's 24 degrees basically, but it's real small little ice pellets. But it's the reason why the Eskimos have like 3 million names for snow, because I've seen all, being a former outdoorsman and a current indoorsman, uh, I've seen all different types of weather phenomenon. I mean, I saw on one trip in a failing vehicle from New York State back to Ohio. I think I saw every form of precipitation possible. At one point, if you remember the old Star Trek where they went into hyperspace and there was like streaks, it kind of looked like that. And there was some form of like snow pellet, ice pellet thing going on, and we're cruising down the freeway, and it just looked like streaks going past us. And no, I wasn't smoking anything or high on anything. But yeah, it's the weather, and we had a really mild winter up until the early part of February, and then everything has just gone off the rails. It's everything snowbound around here. The weather's just gone next level crazy. Though I understand it's snowing in Texas right now, and snowing from Texas all the way up in a broad swath, up the eastern seaboard and around, of course, my neck of the woods, because I'm right by Canada, so of course we're going to get something. If it's snowing in Texas, by God, it'll be snowing in little tiny masses in Ohio. Anyways, okay, let's get to my personal situation, which sucks because ever since like I let my, I don't know, too much time inside, both inside my head and inside this room, inside this apartment, inside this building, inside this fucked up life. It's just too much time inside, but I lost track of time there for a while, and so I didn't refill the melatonin that was keeping me on like a steady sleep schedule for 2 months, and was just using surplus because I didn't take it all the time. I didn't realize I was doing that until I ran out, and then when I ran out, I don't know how long I was out for, but I've never gotten my sleep back to normal. I think I went to sleep at, I was up all night last night. I just stayed up as late as possible deliberately all through the night till like 12 till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, deliberately to try to fix my schedule, but this fucking ice storm woke me up sometime after 5, so I didn't sleep very much. So yeah, that sucks. It also sucks is like, because my sleep was all messed up, it's messing everything else up. So I had a cardiology appointment set up for today. Made the transportation arrangements, but I knew this weather was coming, and that really didn't influence my decision. I just felt really off on Friday, and I was like, well, if I'm going to cancel this appointment, I should do it now. And I thought about it, and I was like, it's important for me to get out of the house, but I have like all the, you know, medicines that they could possibly have. Let me try that again. I have all my prescriptions filled from the cardiologist. So I don't. This is not an essential appointment. I can feel when my heart goes out of rhythm, so I'm not going to go in there and get hooked up to EKG because they always do that. And then your heart will go out of rhythm, and and you won't know it. Some people don't know it, so you go in there, they hook you up, and you're like, you got to go to the hospital because you're in AFib arrhythmia. We don't know how long you've been in it, and neither do you. So you need to go to the hospital. But I'm not like that, which of course is a blessing and a curse. Being that in tune with what's going on inside your body means that all your pain is amplified, and the blessing part, I suppose, would be whatever pleasure you feel is amplified as well. But also, you're aware of like things that are wrong in your body to an unholy degree. So last night, man, I had the biggest arrhythmia scare. It was so bad. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not moving unless I have to move because it went out of rhythm, and it felt like it was going to stay out of rhythm. I got the hot flushed feeling that you get with it, like the whole deal. And then I had a couple other times, whatever my yesterday was before this last period of sleep. So I really don't have any days anymore. I just have like a mixture of night and day, and just periods between sleep. And sometimes I like be dozing since I don't do a lot of sitting up. I have like a chair right over there. I have like one place I can sit in the living room, and that's about it. But I don't spend any time in the living room because the nerves thing uh, and the noise in the building. So yeah, I'm not the best frame of mind. I suppose I could be worse off. I always look at it. I try to look at it like, oh, I'm not in the hospital. When you've been in the hospital as much as me, it's like, well, you're not in the hospital. But I don't like that looming threat all the time. That gets me down. Really depressed me yesterday. It's like, okay, what's today going to be like? Should I drink this cup of coffee? I didn't get enough sleep. I mean, there's really no telling what causes arrhythmia. It's like they sent me one of the times I was in there and got my heart shocked. They sent me a list of like things that may cause arrhythmia. It said right on there they don't know what causes people to go into arrhythmia. They know what it is. They have treatments for it, but they don't know what causes it. One of them was like caffeine. Another one was stress. Another one was like if the moon is in a quarter phase and your neighbor is clog dancing upstairs. It's anything. They don't know. They don't know why it happens. They just know the hows. They don't know the whys. They know the hows and the what to do's and the dangers and everything associated with it. So, anyways, before I got distracted, I was listening to a book and just being mellow because I still don't trust my heart after yesterday. And then this really kicked in outside, and I was forced to open the window and stick my head out. It probably didn't come across the mic on the computer because the furnace just happened to kick on at the same time, and probably like blocked out the sound of it. But it's just a weird phenomenon. And why my cat would want to go out in it, I don't know. But I got the window open for him in case he wants to get back in because this is going to go on for like hours. There's going to be some form of precipitation out there for like hours. It's like 100% chance for 3 or 4 more hours, and it's been doing nasty things all day weather-wise, and it's going to be a mess. Tomorrow it's going to be the temperature's going to like bottom out in single digits, like 2, something like that tomorrow. So yeah, this isn't good. It's not good for me because I have to manage the cat and make sure, I mean, he could survive in this kind of weather, but I don't want him to be miserable. I don't want him to make me miserable at the same time. Um, but yeah, it was just weird that I had that arrhythmia thing going on yesterday because I was like, I had plans. I had the ambition to do things. I was like, I got to start sometime doing stuff, and then, you know, That's not an excuse when you have arrhythmia not to pick up weights. That's like, yeah, uh, that's like, you don't taunt people when they got a gun pointed at your head. You don't fuck with your heart when your heart's already fucking with you. You just kind of just chill and be glad you're not in the hospital. And that's what yesterday was. So yeah, it's messing with my mood, to put it mildly. Um, I don't think I've been on here for a few days, but I haven't had anything good or interesting to report. I did get a second payment through PayPal from the person that owes me a lot of money, which was cool. Um, I figured it would work out that way, and I wanted to address it with him like half a year ago. But yeah, the conversation wasn't going well, so I just bailed on it before it became, yeah, what would you call it? Before it would damage the situation. Um, Dealing with people that are difficult. Uh, so it worked out pretty good for my best friend, though. He's in the Florida Keys right now with this ice storms going out here. He lives in a neighboring city, and he was complaining about it being too hot down there because it was nice when he got there. They stayed for like 3, 4 weeks. I think he said he was coming back February 20th. Yeah, February 20th. Anyways, he's down there in the Keys getting sunburnt, and everybody else up here is like worried about sliding off the road and whether their car insurance is up to date and whatnot. I don't know if the landlord's been doing the shoveling, but I did notice that perhaps the lady upstairs. This is a crippled building now. You got me, you got the guy in the wheelchair, you got the fibromyalgia lady that's got something else wrong with her where she walks bent forward. You got the guy who's got an aid animal, or like is it an aid animal or a caregiver animal? I don't know what his deal was. All I know is like the landlord had to come out last Thursday and put the garbage out. And he usually don't do that. And he shoveled while he was doing it, so he might come out tomorrow and shovel. Though we're responsible for snow removal, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not getting out there with a shovel. You know, when I'm just laying in bed with the arrhythmia and shit, I'm not doing that. But yeah, it's incredibly boring existence, and of course I've been thinking gloomy thoughts, and have a morbid nature because after a while that's just what happens. You get to the point where like you're in a no-win situation, you're gonna go there. It's just the way it works. So I know at least one person watching knows what that's like, where it's like I don't really see any options here that are good. So naturally you think of all the options that are bad, and I don't like like the whole idea of like having your exist. That's what the heart thing really. Once I started like having consistent heart trouble when I moved in this building, that was the thing. Is like I'm under constant threat of just having my life flipped upside down or dying. And when you think about dying, you think about like, okay, all right, okay, should I like seal up my sex toy box, you know, or should I like, uh, I don't even have like a living will or anything like that. I don't really care what happens to any of my shit. I don't have enough stuff to even worry about. But I should just like talk to my brother and tell him just make sure you get my computer so people think I'm less of a pervert than I am. So you know, and you don't want your family rooting through your possessions and finding stuff you don't want them to find. So hence I went to the sex box thing because anyways, even though we're all human beings, we all, unless you're incredibly lucky, even people that are in like a decent relationship, they continue that relationship with themselves to a degree. You don't want to get caught because then your spouse feels like you're cheating on yourself or cheating on them with yourself. which I've heard about, which I think is funny as hell. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to lighten the workload for you, honey. Because people's sexual appetites, they don't always sync up. I mean, I've seen this. I'm an observant chap, as somebody that's like completely been shut out of life or anything resembling life for like ever, since I was 15 years old. So, I observe things and I watch the way things are, and it's like very rarely do you get people that are even uh, never like dead compatibility. It's just a very rare thing. So you have people that, I don't know if you can hear that now. It's 24 degrees out making that noise. So if you can hear that, you can see why I thought it might be water coming through my ceiling. And I bought that's where my TV sits, is where the water would most likely come down. Plus, I got like football cards there. But back to the compatibility issue. It's like very rarely do people line up to where like they have equal sexual appetites, they have equal demands for attention, they have like the same interests or the same energy level. So really, it's I think ideally, um, the relationship should be like an honest. You want honesty above and that's first and foremost, and then you have to be able to say like, look, man, I do not want to go to the gardens shop with you and look at plants, and then have them not be mad at you and understand like I don't get, that's why you got to get to know each other first to know like, okay, he's not going to do this with me, he's not going to do that with me, he's probably going to want more sex than I can provide, or less, you want to, that's why the whole idea of like no premarital sex and not getting to know each other, not living with each other, and then getting married and bring the law into it and church and family and all that. It's just a stupid idea. As I get to know each other, find out if you can get along with each other first, find out if like those compatibility gaps that are going to be there are overcomable or not. Because I'm not going to specify who, but I've seen this in a relationship where it's just a matter of um, time spent together. One person wanted more time alone than the other person, and it blew up the whole relationship. Just that, it just ruined it and made it like impossible. And then you get like, I had this with people. It's like they want you to be around. They want to be alone. They want their cake and eat it too. They want to be alone, but they want somebody to be alone with. Now that sounds completely contradictory, but if you think about it, it's not. They want you. They want a physical presence there, but they want to go about fucking around with the computer, just doing their own thing. But they want you there, like break glass in case of in need of conversation, or making of tea or something. So I've seen people like that too, where like they don't like being alone, but they don't like being with people. These are miserable people, generally speaking, because there's very few people that are willing to just sit there and like, okay, they're fucking around doing whatever, and I guess I ain't got no choice but to fuck around and do whatever by myself. I think we don't need each other for this, but they seem comforted by having me around. It's weird. It's confusing. That's human relationships for you. I've always found them daunting, confusing, perplexing, whatever word you want to throw at them. It's like had very few relationships that made any fucking sense to me, like ever. Um, I can think of none actually, and yeah, some of them go by the wayside, which is another thing that's not good when you can't do simple things like I don't know, anything that involves walking and moving, and you're kind of just like stuck. Is like you start running over like I'm not gonna go there. Don't worry, I'll spare you this time. But you start running over like failed relationships, and like you run over like things out of the past. And once you get to be 50 odd years old, past is not necessarily your friend or something that you want to run over. Some people have that gift or they use a lot of substances, one or the other, where they can just invent a past. Like I had my foster brother managed to do that and say he had a happy childhood, and then like he did a lot of drinking and a lot of dope smoking, and he did a lot of acid. And then my older brother, when I went fishing with him, he was a severe alcoholic, so he was like, we had good parents, and I was like, you know, didn't say nothing to it. If you want to, the funny part is when they know they're creating a false reality. Like, uh, I have, according to my cousin, my foster brother actually, when my cousin like contradicted him on something, my foster brother actually said, "Do me a favor and don't shatter my illusions." You know, he's like, he knows he's creating a false reality, but he can live in that false reality. It's like when you're watching a movie and you're really into the movie, and like somebody calls you and you're like, God damn it, it's like you want to talk to him, but man, I was really enjoying this alternate reality without you in it. And you want to just say, I'm watching a movie. Matter of fact, my foster brother used to do that all the time. He'd be like, hey, I was watching a movie, and then he would want me to hang up, and I'd be like, sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes it depends if I felt like being a dick or not. But he would rather hang out in a movie than in the world of that movie than in life, or hang out in the movie that he created in his head through drugs and alcohol than hang out in the reality of his past. Some of us don't have that luxury though, so we weren't smart enough to abuse a lot of chemicals when we were younger, when our miserable childhoods were going on. Yeah, you just alter your consciousness. That's why they say in therapy that it doesn't count unless you're sober. Because I've seen many people that were, hung around a lot of people using a lot of different substances, and a lot of times you'll hear the same story divulged to you like it's the first time. And it's like I had this one guy that shot somebody. And yeah, I never told you about that before, but there's one guy that shot somebody, and he would confess the shooting to me like two, three, four. I don't know how many times he confessed it. I, I'm put a number on it, but he would be hammered, and then he would go into this time that he shot this guy in Detroit, and he would tell me the story about it, how it happened outside of a house where he was wanting to make a drug buy, and he didn't want to do it. The guy was shooting at him all crazy, but he kept his head and he aimed, and the other guy wasn't aiming, and he was hiding behind a car, and he did it right like they do in the movies. He says, "I know I killed the guy, hit him dead center with a 45 caliber, like one of your army issue type guns. Hit somebody center mass with a 45. Game over." Um, so, anyways, um, I guess my point there was that being alone with your thoughts, if you had a difficult past, and not being able to do things to distract yourself from that is not a good thing. So what I do is I sit around, and there's a computer over there, and play hearts on the computer with computer people and listen to old books, which I was listening to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I'd never heard before, uh, which I didn't even know. I should have assumed that came from science fiction was so huge in the 40s and 50s. I should have assumed that came from a novel. Most movies do. Very few movies don't have a navicular basis. I'm just made up a word, and they're just screenplays that somebody dreams up. Something like Goodwill Hunting, I think that might even I bet you 75 to 90% of all movies are based or come from a novel, based on or come from a novel. So I think I was reading about Goodwill Hunting, and I think that actually does come from a novel, though I'm not sure. Now my OCD is wanting me to look it up, but I'm not going to do that. I saw somebody actually doing videos, like doing research on football players. It's like, okay, I realize, I'm watching you watch a football player run around on the field, and then you're curious about the football player, but that's kind of for after the video. It's really not fun watching somebody fact check something. Just be wrong or vague about it. Don't fact check it, or just be openly curious if you don't know something. Yeah, I don't really. I'm curious if it's more like a memory check. I check my memory all the time because getting older and I'm in a lot of pain, and I often wonder like how well my brain works because it used to be a very fine-tuned swish watch. Yeah. Ode to teeth. How I miss the 32 soldiers champing on a hill. First they how's that go? I don't know, man. 32 soldiers standing on a hill. First they champ, then they stamp, then they stand still. That's not a memory test. That's one of the riddles from The Hobbit. But no, I don't know how to fix. I don't know how to fix anything in my life. Honestly, I don't know how to fix this whole sleeping thing. If I'm going to get woken up by random ice storms, you know, after 4 hours sleep, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, that's cool that I got that finally set up where I can get a pipeline, where they can just get on their computer and pipeline me the money they owe me, and that'll work as far as like once they get through whatever it is they owe me, if they want to spend money off the card. And I talked to them on the phone briefly, but they were driving home and they seemed to want to talk more, but it was late at night. I was like, it seems like you called me about 6 minutes ago. And they were on the road coming home from the grocery store at like 9:30 at night, and they're working people. So luckily for me, they're working people. It's hard to get paid back from non-working people. Um, so I don't have any animosity going with them, and it's just they're hard to get a hold of. I mean, I call them like all the time. By all the time, I mean at least once or twice a week, and just get a ring. I mean, you want to bother them all the time because the way people's phones are now, it's like missed call from, and if they want to call you back, they call you back. It's one of the things I was laughing at about Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing is they were talking about phones, and they were talking about the invention of, that's how old the book is, the invention of the rotary phone, and it had something really cool in there. I wish I could remember verbatim, but it was, in other words, you didn't have to say operator. This is and you didn't have to do the Mayberry thing like hook me up with Barney or Andy Griffith. Them old weird, really weird looking phones. We had to talk to an operator first, and people had like 5-digit phone numbers or whatever. They were talking about the rotary phone and the invention of it, and the guy wanted to talk to an operator, and he said he was talking about the progress of the rotary phone, wiping out the need for human contact. And I was like, you know what? That's what's cool about books. This book is older than dirt, and it just made a point that's like relevant today. It's like, how many times have you tried to talk? You want to talk to a live person about a real problem, but you got to fight your way through this whole matrix of automatic things like push 5 for such and such, and then it says push 7 for such and such. And it's I sat there and I had to like actually use what little wits I have to talk to a live person at my bank. It's like I can't believe it's like once I finally got to talk to a live person at my bank, I was like, I'm trying to remember what I was calling about in the first place. It's like I actually forgot. I put so much effort into just calling and trying different angles to reach a live person. And it's like, yeah, they're trying to weed out all human contact, like that book said, with the evil rotary phone. How many of you remember doing that instead of touching a button? So I don't even do that. I don't, if I'm going to learn something, it's not going to be how to use like electronic devices. I know that sounds stupid, but It's like I'm not going to put effort into like uh, organizing my phone or organizing my computer and stuff like that. I got other things to worry about. If I got any like energy, I'm going to put it into like trying to get back to being a functional human being again. I'm not going to bother learning things, especially. I find that especially difficult in my, you know, learning how to interact with machines. I've never been able to master people, but I feel like I have a handle on it now. It took me many years, but I feel like I can talk to people and sometimes get my needs met from people occasionally. I don't know if I talked about this with you or not. I probably didn't, but please forgive me if I didn't. But I'll just make it short then. I found out that the woman that wouldn't do housework for me, actually, I remember telling this to someone. Okay, let me just forget that part. Let's nip that out. Okay, so one day I was talking to this aid worker about my other aid worker and mentioned the fact that she refused to do housework during the initial COVID lockdown here in Ohio because she just let me believe that they weren't doing housework because I figured they wanted to limit contact or the amount of time that the aid worker was in people's houses. So when they sent me a letter limiting, saying you can only send them to two stores and a drugstore, I thought that was all we could use them for. But no, they can. They were still doing anything in the house from clipping old people's toenails to doing their dishes and scrubbing their toilets and stuff. But this person just let me believe otherwise for a really long time, even though I asked them, like, when are you guys going to be able to do housework again? And she would just say, I don't know. And so I told this other person about that, and she was like, it's funny you should say that because she doesn't really work anymore because she's um, claims she fell down at a client's house and broke her arm. And she's going to try to get workman's comp that way. I feel like I've already told you this story. Yeah, there's a memory test for you, but yeah, give me that a senior moment there if I told you that before. So she's trying to con her workplace and workman's compensation, and I feel like I've already told you this story. Okay, I just ruined what was a promising video by my own self doubt and ambiguity. It happens. So, anyways, yeah, I think I remember saying that to you. Like, it just goes to show you. Sorry about that. That probably made a noise. It just goes to show you, like, don't give people the benefit of the doubt when they act like scum because they're probably just scum. Uh, so, yeah, that was. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised by it. But the interesting thing is it's a no witness situation. So, and the woman that's there, she's got a hearing aid. The person that the aid worker is the caregiver to, she's got a hearing aid, but the other aid worker says she never has any problem hearing me. And she claims that I said, well, how's her mind? And she's like, well, her mind's sharp. And she claims that she can even hear when the mailman's walking on the steps. That my crumb bum aid worker claims to have fallen down, but there was no witnesses to it. She just comes up with an arm that's messed up. And she also said that her arm isn't really broken like in a cast, it's in a sling, and she caught her, with her arm out of the sling doing stuff with her arm when she thought nobody was watching. So she was like, I've had arm injuries, and that's, you don't do that. That's the whole purpose of a sling is to keep it in that position so you don't straighten it out and experience that sharp pain. So, yeah, that's interesting. Uh, and since I'm already there, unfortunately, the whole sob story she was giving me about her life, the other aid worker was like, she says that shit to everybody. Everybody knows about her husband and how her husband's crazy and all that. It's like, okay, so she's probably like sociopathic, using whatever advantage she can get. It's like, she, my aid worker, current aid worker, is like, I can't believe she did that. And I'm like, yeah, I probably fell down like 5, 6 times the whole time. She knew that I was doing stuff, and I even talked to her about falling down, and she could see the marks on my legs from falling down. Um, so, you know, probably like a sociopathic personality, all wrapped up in a sweet 300-pound package. Of course, I'm on cameras because my nose is itchy. So my nose is itchy. And I really want to abuse it manually, but I'm not going to. Because I already screwed up the. I can't help it. I already screwed up that whole story about, not remembering whether I talked about that or before or not. I should. I'm sloppy about this kind of thing. Obviously, you know, I, I don't dress my best for these videos, so I don't comb my hair or anything like that, or wax my mustache. So, I don't go back and look at my last video and be like, oh, or, check to see what I already talked about. So, I'm not here to sell soap, or by that I mean, of course, pick up sponsors. I'm not here to sell soap, and I'm not here to ask for donations. I'm not. I'm just here to kill time. So, yeah, I make no pretense of being organized and orderly, either in thought, word, or deed. So, if my nose itches, sometimes I have to do a backhand to it if it itches this bad. And my voice is not good because I'm not. I've noticed that my voice hasn't been good lately because this is what my brother sounds like all the time, by the way. You don't sleep, your voice is going to sound fucked up. So I haven't been sleeping, so my voice sounds kind of fucked up. It's not exactly musical, but this is what my brother sounds like all the time. And I know it's hard to listen to, so I suppose I should not make this very long. Um, but it's just a consequence of not sleeping properly, which I haven't been doing for a while. It's I seem to have a lot more dreams, a lot more troubling dreams. I should also bring up the fact that when I had my heart episode yesterday, I took a whole pill instead of a half a pill, and then later on I took a whole pill, and then when I woke up to the ice storm, I took a half a pill. Oh, like, I don't think I'm gonna notice. It's just like I was pretty freaked out yesterday as far as the arrhythmia thing. Uh, if I cleared my throat or coughed, yeah, I'm a mess. But you're kind of used to that, I assume, if you watch these on a regular basis. I wish this had a pause on it. Why don't they make these with a pause? Can I pause the recording and abuse my nose? Let me test.